Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Between Paychecks Kitchen. It's me, Jack, the other host. I have been gone for a very long time. I've been busy with real life, having 2 kids, and we're going to be doing something interesting. We're going to be making a keto chicken egg roll in a bowl. It's going to be great. It's going to be keto, it's going to be low carb, and it's going to be good for you, probably. So let's get right into it. Alright, so here's our stuff. We have a pound of ground chicken. Yeah, ground chicken's a thing. I discovered that today. A bunch of pre-chopped garlic. If you just get a bulb, it's 50 cents a bulb. This costs more, but the bulb it's a lot cheaper. We have some green onion. This is optional. You don't need this. Some serranos. This is optional. You don't need this, but we're in Texas. Got to have something spicy with it. Coleslaw. You will need about 4 cups worth. This is not quite 4 cups, but it's really close. Sriracha sauce. Once again, this is optional. You don't need this. It helps. Sesame oil. Optional. You don't need it. Ginger. You kind of do. And I'm going to be using some seasonal and have 1 shallot. Now, if you just take all the mandatory objects or items and none of the optional stuff, this only comes out to like $12 and some change. But if you want to use all the sauces and the sesame oil, you're looking at close to $20. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is we're going to get our chicken in our pan and get it cooking. Alright, so here's our pan. We're using cast iron. There's already some oil in it. I got the fire on, so it's warming up. When it's done warming up, we'll go ahead and add our 1 pound of ground chicken. So a way to know if it's ready is if you put a little piece of meat in there and it starts to sizzle. It starts to sizzle, it's ready. So we're going to go ahead and add it. Now, I've never worked with ground chicken before, so this is going to be new to me. Put that off to the side. Alright, let's break up our ground chicken. We don't need it to stay in big chunks. Alright, and we're going to cook it until it's no longer pink or straight out white. Be sure to occasionally come back and toss it so another side can start to cook. But be patient with it. It's chicken. It might take a while to cook, okay? And just to be clear, I have my heat just a tad over medium. So we are a little bit on the higher end. Alright, now we don't want big chunks of chicken, so be sure that you're coming through and chopping it up. Because you want smaller, finer pieces. Oh yeah, there's one more thing you're going to need. You're going to need soy sauce, about 3 tablespoons worth. So make sure this is a mandatory. You got to have this. So if you don't have it, the upfront cost might be closer to $15 to make this. Alright, so after about 5 minutes, your chicken will cook through, and the next thing you want to do is add your shallot. You could also substitute for green onion bulbs. Well, but I think a shallot is just a green onion bulb. Don't quote me on that. And you want to add about a teaspoon of garlic. So we're going to add our things here. And we're going to mix them in. And let them cook for about 2 minutes. Also, prior to this, you can add your seasonings if you want to. I mentioned I have I have ginger and some seasonal. You can add those now or earlier or later if you want. Seasoning raw meat though is probably the best, so if you want you can season your meat ahead of time. I didn't do that here for the sake of expediency, but it's something you might want to do. So as I mentioned earlier, we're in Texas. Everything needs to be spicy, so I'm going to go ahead and add some of my serrano now as well. So it's been about 2.5 minutes. Now we're going to add our coleslaw to our pot or pan. We're adding about 4 cups of coleslaw. Make sure you have a big enough pan to fit everything as well. That's kind of important. We're going to stir it together. So next we're going to add 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. And this is the 3rd one. Then we're going to add our sriracha sauce, and we're just going to spray it. We'll probably use closer to a tablespoon by the time we're done with this, but your taste may vary. Now mix everything and cook it until the coleslaw is about as soft as you want it to be. Now I'm having to be careful here because my pan is just barely big enough to contain all of this. But you want to be sure to stir it thoroughly. You want to combine the soy sauce and the sriracha sauce as well as any seasonings you used. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some more. It's hard to overdo the chili sauce, especially if you like it in the first place. So it's been about 3 minutes now since I last added the sriracha sauce, and I would say this is done. There's nothing else you have to do. Just put it in your serving bowl or save it for later. And there you go. It's not hard to make, and it makes quite a bit. It came out to more than I thought it would be. So you might be eating this for a while. Okay, so there's some things that might need clarification that I may not have mentioned specifically in the video while I was being shot. Now, the sesame oil is the oil for the pan, so you want to use the sesame oil for the pan. Now, and the coleslaw. You can use homemade coleslaw if you got it. I use store-bought stuff, but it costs a little bit more, and it has extra water and potentially even mayo in it. Now, if I recall, the original recipe just calls for cabbage and carrots, and maybe something else, but I don't know if it called for the mayo or extra water. So that is something to take into consideration when using store-bought coleslaw. Oh, man, you gotta love it when the AC or heater kicks on right when you hit that record button. But yeah, anyway, there you have it. Super delicious, easy to make, doesn't take long, especially if you have everything prepared beforehand. And it was really spicy the way I did it. Now, if you don't have high heat tolerance, you can cut out the spices and seasonings. Well, maybe not the seasonings, but the extra spicy stuff like the serrano, the chili sauce. Completely optional, you don't need it. It's just there for flavor and heat. But yeah, thanks for watching. It's good to be back. I'm going to try my absolute best to continuously produce things. As I said, it's pretty hard, 2 kids and full-time job and other obligations. But it's good to be back. It's nice to finally be back in front of the camera. So yeah, be sure to check us out Tuesdays and Fridays here on YouTube. You can catch us on Facebook as well at Living Between Paychecks Kitchen. And it's good to be back. See you next time.